What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, Wealth Hacker Labs. I'm your gracious host, Jeff Rose, and we've got another fun-filled economic stimulus check update. So for those that maybe were out enjoying some quality family time over the weekend, maybe you just didn't want to stay up to date on what's going on in the news because you're just tired of hearing all about it. So late Friday night, the House passed the HEROES Act. That is correct. The House passed the HEROES Act. And basically all that really means is that the House passed it. And does that mean that you're getting a second $1,200 stimulus check? Hold your horses, not quite so fast. Not yet, at least. There still is some time. There's still some things that have to evolve. And the big thing is that it still has to go through the Senate. It still has to be signed by the president. And as it's reported right now, there's a less likely chance of that occurring. So what does that really mean, that the House passed this $1,200 check? Well, all that really means is that, okay, so we've got the Democrats that say, yes, here is what is in the bill. There were a few adjustments, a few amendments on what actually went to a vote Friday evening, but nothing as far as your second check, nothing of that. It was more based off of student loan repayment, student loan forgiveness. But as it stands right now, so the $1,200 was still included. There is nothing in this bill inside the HEROES Act that's going to give you a $2,000 check. There is no recurring payments that's going to happen. This basically is just getting a secondary $1,200 check. I'll say that's it, but that's it. I know many people were hoping, crossing your fingers, praying that there would be a larger check, whether it be $2,000 or some sort of recurring payment. And unfortunately, no, that's not the case at all. So sorry to burst your bubble, sorry to let you down, but it ain't gonna happen. I mean, as it stands right now, the HEROES Act in its current form, it's not gonna go any further. And even though it's a $3 trillion, that's correct, a $3 trillion proposal, which is actually more than the original CARES Act, but all it included was basically a $1,200 check, yes, for you and your spouse. Also included $1,200 for up to 3 dependents. So that is some of the good stuff that's going on there. But as far as anything else included in that, that's really it. So what do we know right now? What do we know? What's included? Well, here, let me just go ahead and go to my screen real quick so you can see what I see. And right now, so here is, as you can read by the headline, HEROES Act passes House, but omits the $2,000 reoccurring payment. I don't know if anyone truly even thought that there would be a $2,000 reoccurring payment included in there. If you did, maybe I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe you're just an optimist. Maybe you just think that, things are always going to work out, which, I am the optimist. I tend to want to believe that things are going to be good, but as much debt as we are in right now, that is not going to happen. It just is not going to happen. All right. So basically what we have, how it stands right now, so there is no Paycheck Guaranteed Act. So that was one of the things that was discussed as a potential. There's no reoccurring $2,000 monthly payment. We do know that. No automatic stabilizers. No improvements to get funds to individuals more quickly and accurately. For those of you that are still waiting on your first $1,200 check, nothing has changed really, other than making sure that you get your direct deposit information in place prior to if this thing finally gets passed. Here's another one though. So basically what happens now? Now that it is passed, what's kind of the next steps? Well, as I've mentioned, I think I've mentioned in the previous video, you've probably already heard this, as this article points out, the bill has already been declared dead on arrival. And what do they mean by that? So this is coming from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, basically just saying that the way that it stands right now, the way that everything that's included in this bill, it is dead on arrival. There's nothing about this bill that's going to pass. There's nothing in here. There just has to be a lot of updates for this thing to actually come into fruition. So once again, that dead on arrival, DOA, in case you didn't know what that stood for, dead on arrival, ain't gonna happen. Ain't going to happen. That should be a better acronym. All right, so that's what we have going on right here, dead on arrival. And then in addition to that, here is Statement of Administration Policy, HR 6000, basically just talking about, this is just basically summarizes from the president saying that we're not going to support this thing. You know, it's going to be vetoed, it's going to be blocked. There has to be some huge changes if this thing is actually going to happen. Are those changes going to happen? Gosh, I mean, that's what everybody wants to know, right? So there definitely needs to be updates here. There needs to be some changes made to this. And I am really not happy with my camera right now. It just does not want to find me. Let's go to camera one. All right, camera one. So things need to be updated. Things need to be changes in its current form. Yes, it passed the House. This is a Democratic bill, so House is owned majority by Democrats. So yes, it got voted. Now, surprisingly, there actually were some Democrats that did not support this. And so that just kind of shows like there's just being pulled two different ways. The Senate being primarily held by Republicans. I mean, this thing's going to be denied. Does that mean that it's over? Does that mean that you're not going to get a second stimulus check? Absolutely not. There still is a chance that this could pass. And I've shared this in other videos, just talking about how we're still kind of just wait and see. We've spent a lot of money, and I say we just because, yes, are we in charge to spend this money? No, but we reside in the country that has spent all this money with the second check. Now, as far as like, how did the second check work out? How much did that help out the economy? Where are people spending their money? I'm actually, stay tuned because I have another video that kind of breaks down. They finally have some data that's showing, you know, how much impact that first $1,200 check, the ones that actually got the check, how that actually has impacted the economy and where that money is being spent. So I think right now we're just waiting to see, you know, just getting some data back on that, seeing how much did it actually stimulate the economy and what else needs to be done. So that is, you know, some of the first steps. And then just seeing like what else is going to happen. You know, we got to see how quarantine is playing out. When we start opening up states, I know here in Tennessee, you know, we have, I guess we're in phase one of reopening the state. Like my family and I, we could go out to eat in some restaurants. We haven't yet. I went to a local coffee shop a few times, twice, just to kind of see how it is. And I felt safer there because they definitely abided by, you know, just the COVID-19 safety, I guess I'm trying to look at the word here, just being safe, being making sure that they're like sanitizing everything, making sure that, you know, they're cleaning everything. They've got the whole social distancing thing down. We got, you know, about 50% capacity. Some neighbor friends of ours, they went to a different restaurant and they weren't wearing masks. They weren't wearing gloves. They weren't wiping down the menus afterwards. And I have not checked here in a few days, but COVID-19 cases are still very much a reality. You know, we're not seeing much of a decline. And I think that's just the big thing, right? We want to see how that's going to play out. So there's going to be a lot of activities. There's going to be a lot of updates coming on this secondary stimulus check because there's so many people that are voicing this. You know, even Mark Cuban, you know, he voiced whatever that means, right? Unless you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, but you know, he voiced his concern, or basically just that the government needs to do something, which I always find interesting when a successful entrepreneur, you know, is backing socialism in essence. But whether it be socialism or not, I mean, this is a different situation. You know, this is not people like, I don't know, we could talk about this, and I know like I'm not pro socialism, but I am pro helping out people on a pandemic that nobody planned for. You know, this is nothing. This is the extraordinary. This is the exception. You know, this is not somebody that lost a job and they didn't have enough savings. You know, they didn't have a plan B. Anyway, this is something beyond everyone's control. So that's why, you know, I'm not definitely pro-socialism, but I am pro helping people out. And that's why it is interesting to see folks like Cuban and other successful entrepreneurs that are supporting something. So that's what we got going on right now. So we cleared, I guess, one hurdle, passing the House, which was to be expected. But now it's like, all right, so now, I mean, this is where parties are going to play both sides, right? So Democrats are going to say, hey, we are in full favor of a secondary check. And Republicans saying like, no, wait and see. You know, and they can't say they're not supporting a second check because there's so many Americans right now that are hurting that, you know, they're going to have to come up with some different language on how they're going to support this or how they're going to spin it, or they don't say, or it doesn't sound like they're not supporting the American people. So that's just the fun. That's why I don't get into politics. That's why I'd rather just do this, do YouTube, you know, talk about money, talk about investing, talk about growing your wealth. I enjoy that so much more. Thank goodness I did not get into politics. What do you think? What do you think? How likelihood do you feel that some sort of secondary stimulus check is going to pass? Like I firmly do believe that a second one is going to pass. In its current form, absolutely not. But I do feel like they're going to issue some sort of secondary payment. Don't know when it's going to happen. Don't know how quick it's going to happen. Don't know if they're going to update the ability to get checks to you faster. Hopefully they will. But I do feel that a second one is going to happen. I feel it. I believe it. I'm not putting my money on it, but I do feel it's going to happen. Do you think it's going to happen? How do you think it's going to play out? Let us know in the comments below. And also, too, if you have anything that you'd like to share that you think is beneficial to the wealth hacker community, drop it in the comments below. If you share links, it may get flagged initially. As long as you're not trying to promote something spammy, not trying to sell any cryptocurrencies that are selling for less than 50 cents. Sorry, I had to kind of say that. But yeah, as long as you're not promoting anything that I think is going to hurt people, all this stuff gets flagged. My assistant will approve the ones that we think are helpful. So just give it some time. All right, y'all, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and all you can make it awesome. Until next time, peace.